Renaissance was a time of excitement and discovery. Painters, writers, mathematicians, musicians, builders, and scientists all developed new ideas during the Renaissance. Galileo was what we now call a Renaissance man, an expert in several subjects at once. He used ideas from many areas to make scientific discoveries. Even more importantly, though, trouble with the church. Galileo's discoveries about the solar system got him in a lot of trouble. The Catholic Church did not like his ideas about the solar system. Why did his discoveries upset them so much? The answer lies in the religious beliefs of the time. For centuries, the church had thought that the sun, moon, planets, and stars all moved around the earth. But the way that Venus changed shape was a big clue that it and the other planets in our solar system moved around the sun instead. Galileo was not the first person to come up with this idea. However, these discoveries were the best proof yet that Earth was not the center of our solar system. Galileo published writings about his discoveries that entered the church. During the Renaissance, the church had the power to punish people for unacceptable beliefs. Galileo had dared to insist that the church was wrong, and in 1633 the church put him in trial. At the trial, he was found guilty and threatened with death. Galileo was forced to say that his earlier discoveries had been lies, even though they were accurate. For the rest of his life, he was not allowed to leave his home. He was also forbidden to publish. Galileo continued to write about his discoveries, however. He even managed to publish, despite the church ordering him not to. He published two new sciences in 1638. It was his final publication. At that point, Galileo had become blind. Galileo's health continued to fail. He died in 1642 of natural causes. Do you know? A popular but unproven story says that Galileo talked back to the judges at his trial. The legend claims that he murmured, and yet it moves. Others believe after he was